And any addict that's watching this will attest to that. And if you don't have money, you're thinking about how to get money to get heroin immediately.
We are now going to take you to a story about a full-fledged addict that knew if he didn't do something, his life was about to be over.
And now, meet Jason Amaral. He is the face of the epidemic. He grew up in the Boston suburb of Arlington, Massachusetts, went to high school there, and then on to college, where he became an addict. He could be your child or the kid next door. As the president said in his address on Saturday, 44% of Americans know someone who has been addicted to prescription painkillers. Well, tonight, correspondent DeMarco Morgan and producer Jonathan Blakely begin a special series, In the Shadow of Death, Jason's Journey.
Real quick. Is this good enough, dude?
Your eyes open, you think about heroin. Nothing else, nothing else. And any addict that's watching this will attest to that. And if you don't have money, you're thinking about how to get money to get heroin immediately.
Jason Amaral's hunt for heroin began at 7:30 in the morning on a brisk day in downtown Boston.
All right, I'll see you there in like 5 minutes.
He allowed our cameras to follow him as he tried to get money to get high.
I have to get my money at Western Union, but you saved me a little. All right, I don't give a I'll go with you to wherever, buddy. Are you serious? Come on. Oh, yeah, don't answer your phone, you dumb.
From a parking garage, he called his Aunt Beth in Florida begging for cash.
Can you send me $30? Believe me, this is the last time I'm doing this to you. This doesn't work this time, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm serious.
He hopped a train to meet a friend who gave him a few pills of Klonopin, an anti-anxiety medication known to addicts to take the edge off the urge.
Right. I'm supposed to do all 4 of these right now. Right. And then shoot some heroin.
He searched for a bathroom where he could crush and snort his pills.
We're in such a high drug area, they don't let people use the public bathrooms.
So, Jason went for the one building he knows is always open to the public.
Excuse me? Where's the entrance to City Hall?
Oh, it's right up there.
Once inside City Hall,
I hope they don't check my bag, dude.
He headed for a basement bathroom and put the money his aunt sent by Western Union to use.
That's Klonopin.
Around noon, we met Jason on the street after he scored more drugs from friends.
I just did some heroin and I was sick, and now I just did a shot and I'm very, very high, and I feel great, and I'm gonna go do what I need to do to make money, you know what I mean? And that's just how it is.
But Jason's life wasn't always like this. He grew up in Needham, Massachusetts with his younger brother Andrew, raised by a single mother who by all accounts gave her boys a happy childhood. But when Jason was only 11, his mom died of cancer. So the boys moved in with their father. In college, Jason started experimenting with a pricey pain pill, OxyContin, which soon led to heroin. And so began the life of an addict. The morning we met him, he was on multiple drugs.
Over the past 3 days, what's in your system? What have
I done? Heroin, Klonopin, Xanax, cocaine, crack. That's it.
By that evening, we found Jason at a friend's house. The two had scored some heroin mixed with the powerful drug fentanyl.
That's your shot right now, point one.
They prepared it while the friend's 3-year-old child watched TV in the next room. Remember, that next morning, Jason's supposed to show up at a rehab center. His phone rang, and it was his younger brother, Andrew.
Oh, it's my brother.
Andrew is also an addict who called to tell his big brother he was dropping out of a detox clinic.
Don't leave, buddy. It's not a good idea to leave. Please don't. I'm going to rehab tomorrow, and I'm going to stay. I'm sorry, dude.
But as he begged his brother to get help, he couldn't help himself.
I love you, kid. All right, go.
When he hung up the phone, Jason was overcome with emotion. But not for long.
Just tie you off like that. Stop at a red light and stop, but red means go when you're shooting heroin. You know what I mean?
Over the next couple hours, we watched as he nodded in and out. shot up again, snorted more pills, and saved some heroin for later. By then, his best friend, Mike Duggan, arrived.
What's up? Ready to do this?
Mike is a recovering addict who's been clean 7 years and was taking Jason to rehab the next morning.
It's life and death. Like, you will die if you don't get it this time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really what it comes down to.
The next morning, Jason, who has overdosed 8 times and lived to tell about it, began the next chapter of his life.
Good morning, Jason. How are you? We're so glad you're here.
You know, as I'm watching this story, it really takes me back and just reminds me of a couple things. You know, personally, have I ever done meth myself or any of the harder drugs? No, I have not. But, you know, I spoke about, you know, many years ago when I had, you know, been taking medicine and got, you know, stuck on pain pills for a while. And it's real easy to do. But it also reminded me that if you notice, his best friend came in to help this guy. And we're going to continue the story because I want you to see a little bit more about this guy who actually, you know, managed to get through it. You know, and in the beginning of the story, we're seeing what his life was like and what he did. And, you know, that he was going to no ends to make sure that he could get that fix. But when you've got people there to help you and to support you, that really does make a difference. And I think you need to realize that you're not alone. You're not the only person that goes through this. And if you really want it, people are going to help you. But the main thing is, you got to remember, you've got to want this. But you've also got to realize that if you don't, what the outcome's going to be. There's no other answers. Every time. Every single time. You know what the outcome's going to be. If you don't step up and say, I've got to stop this. I've got to do something to get away from this. I'm going to talk more as soon as this is done here. Let's go ahead and watch the rest of this. And then I'm going to come back and talk a little bit more. But I want you to know that if you're going through this right now, you are not alone. Stick around for the rest of this. I'm going to have information at the end to where if you need to get a hold of somebody to maybe find some help, hopefully the information that I have down below in the description and at the end of this podcast, that it might help you.
We're turning now to an epidemic that is taking 3 lives in this country every hour. The abuse of opioids, including prescription painkillers and heroin. Jason Amaral could have been a dead man. The boy next door from a Boston suburb got hooked in college. He's now 30. And we're telling his story because we want you to know there is both hope and help for addiction. Last night, we followed Amaral as he shot heroin for what he hoped would be the last time. As we left him, he was entering rehab. Correspondent DeMarco Morgan and producer Jonathan Blakely continue our series, In the Shadow of Death, Jason's Journey.
24 hours into rehab, we found an emotional Jason Amaral fighting through the first critical hours of detox. He'd just learned his younger brother Andrew, who is also an addict, was back on the streets because he could not find an open bed for treatment.
He's running around Boston getting high again, so... You know what I mean? I don't know. Can you, stop the camera for a second?
It had already been a rough first day for Jason. He walked into recovery after a drug binge.
All right, I'll see you in like 5 minutes.
He allowed our cameras to follow him the day before as he roamed the streets of Boston in search of drug money and heroin.
Oh, yeah, don't answer your phone, you dumb bitch.
That morning, he crushed and snorted pills from a toilet seat in City Hall. He met friends to shoot up in the middle of the day.
I just did some heroin and I was sick, and now I just did a shot and I'm very, very high.
And then, that night, we watched him inject more heroin, laced with a powerful drug, fentanyl, not once, but twice.
My veins are popping like they usually do either way.
Before his best friend, Mike Duggan, arrived.
What's up? Ready to do this?
Mike is a recovering addict who's been clean 7 years and came to take Jason to rehab.
I mean, it's life and death. Like, you will die if you don't get it this time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really what it comes down to.
Mike traveled by plane with Jason from Boston to South Jersey to make sure Jason made it to Recovery Centers of America in time.
Good morning, Jason. How are you? We're so glad you're here.
So me and Jason ran together. We got involved with a lot of this stuff together. And fortunately, I was able to find it a lot sooner because I've been terrified for him, for years.
This is Jason. Hi, Jason. Welcome. What brought you into treatment?
I honestly don't know how to live a normal life sober. I don't know how to deal with life.
Notice how Jason was visibly uncomfortable as he's forced to give up the pills he had in his bag.
We're passionate about recovery. We believe in what we do, and we know that people get well, and you can get well, and we can help you get there.
You've taken everything from me.
In one of his first therapy sessions, Jason was given a bat and told to confront his addiction.
It's not gonna ever put me in an ambulance again. I'm never gonna overdose. My brother won't overdose. He's gonna survive. He's gonna get it this time. His kid, my godson, will never see us high again, ever again. He won't take anything from me or my family again. All right, now I'm like sweating.
It was that day's small victory.
Yeah, I feel better. I took a lot of anger out on it. I mean, I never did that before.
You had the synthetic high you're getting from heroin. We want to replace that with a natural high, the endorphin kick. Okay?
To get his mind and body off drugs, Jason is encouraged to do exercise and yoga.
Good. All right, rest.
There's going to have to be a bigger part of me that wants to stay clean and a bigger part of me that wants to get high. Because there's always going to be a part of me that wants to get high, always. For the rest of my life, and I know that. Like she said, it's a disease. Like, I'm going to want to get high for the rest of my life.
Are you afraid of dying?
I'm afraid of getting high and dying is what it is. You know what I mean? Right now. I don't want to die using drugs. Like, I don't want my legacy to be this kid overdosed, you know?
We weren't allowed to record Jason's medication process, but he was slowly weaned off heroin with opiate replacement drugs over the first 7 days.
I think that story is really amazing because, the guy realized that, look, I've got to do something to get help. And then, of course, he's got a best friend that pretty much gave him his word and, came and got him like he said he was going to. I also think it's important that if for some reason you don't have anybody there, no one there to help you figure it out, or no one there to support you, there are several places where you can go, even in your own area, to get help. And you know what? It's okay to get help. It's okay to ask for help. If anybody, and it doesn't matter who they are, can stand up and say, I've never asked for help, and I'll never ask for help. And what does that say about them? Just because we say, you know what, we need help, that doesn't make us a weak person at all. If we need help, then we need help. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I want you to know that if you are using, if you are doing drugs, and you do want to quit, don't wait till next week. Don't wait for 2 days later. Take action now because your life can be so much better. And I believe that. And I also believe that people deserve a second chance in life. Okay, so you took a bad fall. Things didn't go right. But now it's your chance. It's your turn to change your life around. There are many people that go through the same thing. They end up going through rehab or whatever their way is to quit. And they do it. And they turn their life completely around. They get a good job. They get married, maybe have kids, or they get to travel like they always wanted. Whatever it might be. Once you get that out of your life, everything is better. So I want you to look down below in the description. That's where I've listed the information. There should be some numbers down there, a couple links. And remember that you also got the channel here to help you. If you just need a friend to talk to, maybe you're just confused or, stressed out and you need a little help, I'm here to help you. We are here to help you. Don't let these drugs take control of your life, but instead, you take control of your life. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Let me know what you thought about it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. And I'm sure I'll be doing more of these, especially if you give me feedback. Let me know what you thought about it. And I hope this does help you. I hope that if you're going through something, that you now realize you've got people you can turn to right here. Have a good night, guys. Take care. And remember, today is your day. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. Bye-bye. Lounge with John. Also check out our website at www.loungingwithjohn.com.